Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Yarns with Andy. Today I've got Hugh Goddard, somebody who's got 20 plus years of experience in the civil infrastructure sector in New Zealand. Comes with wealth of knowledge, managing director of Pipeline and Civil. Welcome, Hugh.
Thanks very much for having me on, Andy.
Mate, anytime.
Excited to be here.
Yeah,
nice
mate.
to see you again. Yeah.
I know, likewise. What has it been? Last time I saw you was 2012, I believe.
Well,
That's
yeah, I might have seen you from a distance in some sort of side office. Probably, you probably had your back to me plugging away on the computer there, mate, fixing the program that we've submitted. But otherwise,
Oh, fixing the program that you submitted.
potentially.
Potentially.
yeah.
Funny.
It's all good.
Yeah, mate. No, welcome. Yeah. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and just your background, your history.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I'm from Ireland originally. I grew up in County Clare and then lived in Dublin for quite a few years. Went to university over there, and then I came out actually to New Zealand when I was about 20 to play a bit of rugby and and everything. And I ended up in a little place called Tikawiti down in the King Country. And
I know Tikawiti well.
Yeah. So no, it's I'll get back to Tikawiti later. So a bit of a story there, but. Yeah, obviously played a bit of footy down there, really enjoyed it, and funnily enough, that's where I met my now wife. So she was coming over to Ireland anyway, and we ended up, I was back in Ireland again. I finished off studying, and then when I graduated, was keen to get back out to New Zealand, so went to Nelson at the top of the South Island. I worked there in consulting, so I studied civil engineering in UCD.
Is that when you went to work for Stantec?
Yeah, that's right. MWH at the time. Yeah, back in the day, and did a variety of things with them, and that was a great learning curve. Had some really good mentors there, and then gone into contracting. Then sort of after about 3 years of consulting, and I guess it's an interesting sort of perspective. You know, could see an opportunity just to get a bit more into leadership roles and management and stuff. And I had started doing an MBA. Actually just part-time, and so I was really interested in the business side of things a lot more, so
cool.
Was keen to do that, and I saw an opportunity with the contracting side, so got a role with Fulton Hogan actually back then, and they were great, and was the department manager down for the construction department. Running around getting yelled at by grumpy grader drivers, which is always fun.
Always fun. Yeah.
But I learned a lot through that experience, and then went up to State Highway 20 Mount Roskill project up in Auckland. Had a bit more experience there, and then decided to go back to Ireland for family reasons.
Yes, right.
And we had so we did that, and obviously with Jill we were married then, and had 4 years back in Ireland working on a big motorway project.
Oh, cool.
And then I think my boss at the time worked out I had the gift of the gab, so decided I was the business development manager for the business. And it was around the time the GFC hit, so obviously around 2008.
Yeah.
And 2009. So I started looking at a bit of business development stuff, and ended up in Saudi Arabia, Sweden, Libya, Poland. And the UK as well, sort of.
You've been all over the place, eh?
Looking for business, and one kind of distinct memory I have, of course, is working in Saudi Arabia and Al Khabar in the Eastern Province.
Oh yeah.
On the 12th floor of the Silver Tower building there, pricing a job in Sweden, and all the documents were in Swedish. So thank God for Google Translate. But it was an interesting time and really a great learning curve. And then had the opportunity to come back to New Zealand, so we did that, and was with Leighton Contractors then, and then in about 2014 I joined Pipeline and Civil, and that was 11 and a half years ago, so I haven't really looked back since then.
Yeah, cool. So you've been in Pipeline Civil a long time now, eh?
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't seem like that long, but
a decade.
Yeah, that's right.
Just a decade.
Been quite enjoyable.
Yeah. So you're the managing director of Pipeline and Civil. Tell us a little bit about what Pipeline and Civil do.
Yeah,
just
sure.
Just for the listeners. I know what you guys do.
Yeah.
I work with you guys every now and again.
Nice.
Review your programs, like you said.
Yeah, that's right. We're obviously focused on critical infrastructure. So we renew and construct critical infrastructure assets, be they water, wastewater pipelines. We're obviously in drainage, and more recently in the energy sector as well.
Cool.
And in terms of substations. Concrete works. So our main focus around pipelines and structures in those sectors, and obviously you can work in other areas as well, and transport and things like that, like on the Eastern Busway recently, for example. So very much focused on those sort of trickier jobs where, there's a few challenges, a few technical challenges and things like that. So, yeah, great business, about 120 team members now.
Oh, wow.
And
you guys have grown significantly, yeah.
Yeah. Over
That's
the
really
years.
cool. Good
Yeah. No, it's been great and great journey and great team. We're an employee-owned business, so we've got 16 shareholders, and I think that model has really helped the company to establish great culture and some good leaders throughout the business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So what's drawn you personally into the civil infrastructure space?
Yeah. I think I was kind of thinking back when I was in uni, and you go into engineering, and originally, I finished school over in Dublin, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, like most school leavers, and actually, down on the university entrance form at the time, I was going to do economics and financial studies. I didn't quite get enough points for that. Obviously, wasn't smart enough, so I ended up, obviously engineering was my second choice on that, and I got into engineering in UCD. And then again, still wasn't quite sure.
I'll tell you what, engineering is probably a better choice.
Yeah, no, look, in hindsight, I'm pleased about that. But ended up doing first year, which is obviously general, and then obviously having a look at the various options, mechanical, electrical, and chose civil because played a lot of sports, so like working in teams. Obviously, that's pervasive across lots of sectors, but particularly that, and then working outside, and and I wasn't really into micro measuring things, really small stuff, so it was probably a distinction as well, and I like the idea of working outside, building things, and seeing the outcomes from that, and working with a diverse team. So I guess got drawn into civil from there, and really pleased how it's worked out, because there are a few industries, I think, where you can be so impactful, on the community and that, and I think that gives a lot of pleasure and a lot of enjoyment, I suppose. Yeah,
it's definitely tangible work that you guys do, but it's all underground, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's right.
So what do you do? You're like driving around. So here's what I do with the family, right? Yeah. So I'll be driving around like today. My 7-year-old son turns it on and goes, "Oh, my daddy was part of building this airport." He says that.
Cool.
So, those children just absorb everything.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you tell your children?
Yeah. We just look at this line of manholes down the
look
middle
at
of the street.
We put that in.
No, we do some above ground stuff. In fairness, but it wouldn't be that common. It wouldn't be that common. The old pump station and things like that. But no, I think it's more around the longevity of some of these assets, significant, and the impact that it'll have on the community. Especially if you get it wrong. If you have a problem and you're doing a cut in and it doesn't quite go to plan, and it's taking an extra day or something, people start running out of water, or you start having other impacts, which is
on current households that are reliant on those services.
Yeah, that's
critical
right.
infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely, and then obviously the longer term impact, if you're building these new assets, they're going to last, hundreds, potentially, over 100 years.
Or more, hopefully.
They'll have to. Yeah, they'll have to. That's right. So, that's significant. And I think it's not every industry, I think, that we can say that, that's as impactful as it is.
Yeah, really cool. Mate, you've had a very impressive career, right? So, if you had to roll back and give younger Hugh a bit of advice, what critical piece of advice would you give younger Hugh Goddard?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one. Not sure. I think probably, I think there's a lot to be said for, obviously persevering through challenges is pretty important. There's times I reflect back when, there's been tough. It's not an easy industry that we operate in.
It's definitely not.
It's challenging. And you get a lot of pressures and things like that. But so having that fortitude to keep persevering, understanding that things get better. You get past difficult challenges.
What do they say? What goes up must come down. What goes down must go up. Right?
Well, yeah, I guess. But it is important to be. Yeah, to have that mindset that obviously it is a challenging area, so you just need to persevere. Yeah. And it's pretty key, really. I think and just back yourself, and enjoy it on the way through. And I'm a very relational person. I like meeting people, like talking to people, building relationships, and I think that served me well over the years. And and I think the network is really important, and knowing if I'm in a tight spot, who I can talk to, to help support, and that's really key as well. So building a good network is really important, I suppose, in terms of advice.
I fully agree.
Yeah, that's it. And then just working on yourself. around those mental skills in terms of, you know, the fortitude that you might need, resilience, all those sorts of things. You know, having the inner house sorted out before you're sort of trying to, you know, impact too much on the outside world.
Yeah, mate. So I had my own. I've gone through my own journey of mental health as well. Like I had to get a mental health coach to work with me. Drew Knowles, I don't know if you heard of him, but great guy.
Yeah.
So he literally had to, like you said, work on your inner self.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate how important that was till I actually did it. You know, it's incredible. It's incredible. And the thing you said about networks, you know, this podcast is fucking incredible for me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's 80 plus guests that have come through.
Yeah.
Like that network that I just get to interact with is so amazing. Like I can just pick up the phone and just call any one of the 80 guests.
Yeah.
I give you a call tomorrow and say, hey, Hugh.
Yeah.
I need a favor, mate.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the precedence is already set, so the value of a network is invaluable, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Cool. You said it's a difficult industry. Yep. But you also said the industry, in your words, you said the industry is not broken. We just need to stop feeling sorry for ourselves.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
More or less, I think. Yeah. Because I think.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I guess you hear it around. You know, everyone sort of. You know, we can whinge quite a bit. We're pretty good at it, especially contractors. You know, you meet a contractor, you'll get an earful about how terrible everything is, and you know that things need to improve. And yeah, in a lot of cases that's potentially true. But I think it is about mindset, like and understanding that. You know, we actually work in a fantastic industry for the reasons I mentioned. You know, the fact that we're creating legacy assets, we're doing like really cool stuff. We're working, you know, in an environment, in a team environment, commonly with other people, you know, trying to achieve goals, and you know, seeing the outcome of that in a physical sense isn't something that every industry gets to do. And I think there's a lot of really positive things part of that. And yeah, there are challenges, but I think we just got to frame them up as challenges. And I think phrasing like, "Oh, the industry's broken and we need to, poor us," you know, is just quite defeatist, and it kind of leads down a path of, you know, it's okay just to kind of give up that, you know, that's what we just got to, you know, accept it, when actually, you know, we can all take ownership of the challenges that are there, and we can all play a part in actually trying to address those challenges in the long run, like to actually improve the industry, you know, even in our own way, whatever small part we can individually play, you know, without actually taking that ownership and trying to have that impact, you know. Yes, of course, like nothing's gonna change. So I think the emphasis is on us to take that ownership, take the accountability for it, and try and improve the industry, rather than just sort of, you know, sitting back and going, "Oh, someone else has got to fix this industry of ours because it's stuffed." You know, no one else is going to do it.
Nobody's going to do it. Well, I guarantee nobody's going to do it. Like when I started this podcast, it was all about, cool. I need that network that you're talking about. But primarily my goal was, how can we create a platform for people to share what they're seeing out there on the sites publicly?
Yeah.
There's no other platform to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Currently there's not.
There isn't. So it's like you turn around and you look and you go, people face the same challenges on different sites, or even within the same company in different sites. They face the same challenges. They don't want to talk to one another.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? You guys are part of the same company. Like, why wouldn't you keep talking to one another, share your challenges, and actually put systems and processes in place to be more efficient?
Yeah.
Oh, we won't do that. We're bitching more about how fucking broken this industry is.
Yeah.
No,
right.
but again, I strongly believe we lack digitalization, and there's something we need to do as an industry, as a collective, about digitalization to move the industry forward. That's a personal opinion, personal drive for me.
Yeah.
And
No, I definitely know you're passionate about that, and that's great, you know. And yeah, we need that passion out there.
Yeah, mate.
Absolutely.
I know it keeps coming out in my podcast, keeps coming on my posts, like everywhere. It's all about digitalization.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yes, sometimes in construction, like you said, people do get into a little bit of a negative mindset. What does it cost the industry? That negative mindset, that negativity.
Yeah, look, and I think there's good reason for it in a lot of spaces, and reflecting on it, you know, look, there's all that, we've got to take ownership, we've got to take responsibility to improve things, but then within our sphere of control, right, and it's all about, you know, I think where you enter, you know, like you talk about mental health, you enter into a position of despair, if you like, if you're trying to continually trying to fix things that you've got no control over fixing, right? And obviously that's like a psychological thing.
Yeah.
That you cannot, you can only focus on what you can control.
100%.
And then if you're focusing on what outside your control, you're probably going to go mad, right? And that's probably is pretty simple.
Is that foundations of management?
Probably learned it from there, right?
Yeah, me
back
too.
In the day. So
Hey, we both went to the same training course, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. So I think that is a factor. Like, so we all have to be mindful of what we can control, what we can't, and obviously where we can influence others who can control those aspects that we can't, that we need help with. Then we've just got to have those conversations. That's where network comes in. But there are obviously a large group of people within our industry who have got very limited control over the outcomes that they're dealing with, and obviously and things like working hours and work demands and how they're managed and all that kind of stuff plays a part into the mental health outcomes that we have in our industry. And obviously we know that it's horrendously poor, right? In terms of the suicide rates, the challenges that we've got around
the divorce rates. That's pretty bad.
Just all that stuff, that we know is there, symptomatic of a lot of problems with our industry. So not to say that, they're going to be fixed overnight, but I think that's certainly not the case. I mean, I think there's a lot of work to be done still in trying to improve that, and it is symptomatic of a range of factors. And you look at the average size of a business in our sector is quite, very small. It's comprised of, majority is small businesses with less than 5 staff. We've got a lot of pressure on those people. Those businesses, what kind of license to operate? It's not like you get a driver, you do like a driver's test to become a company director, right? You can just start one in pretty much 15 minutes in the company's office. Next minute you're a company director.
100%.
Might have been a great chippy, but now you're managing people, you're managing bills, you're working out where your work's coming from. All these
bookkeeping, understanding GST, dividend withholding tax, getting contracts, doing marketing, being the admin, being there, done that, mate. Right. That's But I fully hear you, mate. Fully hear you.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's where some of the challenges do come in, because you have that the risk is the risk factor, especially I guess in that vertical building space. There's a lot of focus on managing risk and how contractors will engage smaller companies to obviously shed that risk across the many. So and then we've ended up with the model that we have in the sector, and it's resulting in what we're seeing in a lot of cases. And I'm not trying to advocate for that everyone's got to work for a big company and that they're better at managing these things. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But I think it is a big leadership problem in construction. There is a that kind of competency around how to manage and how to manage business and things like that creates some of these challenges. So I see that as an opportunity to sort of to work on, so that we can improve the sector as a whole. But
mate, just then I have about 10 questions that are just flooded into my head just from what you just said.
Yeah, right.
But I'll pick one, just roll with it. So yes, we're facing challenges in the construction industry. How are you dealing with it within Pipeline and Civil? You're the managing director. How are you dealing with it internally?
Like in terms of you mean in terms of what
your
context?
Resources, the challenges that we face and negativity in the industry. How do you not let it affect your staff? How are you managing that?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, there's a few lessons that I could possibly learn from. The audience could learn from.
Oh no, I think.
Well, you guys are doing amazing.
No, it's, fair play. Like I think we I guess I'm not saying we're by any means perfect or great.
Nobody is.
Certain, you know what I mean. We obviously are very proud of the culture that we've created at Pipeline Civil, but. And it's a great company and great business, but there's always things that we can improve on. So certainly always looking for those opportunities and working to do that. But I think again, I guess myself as a leader, I'm very conscious of how I portray myself in terms of my own behaviour. So if I'm kind of running around like a headless chicken and stressed out all the time and cursing and blinding and giving out about the clients and giving out about everything, that will have an impact on my team.
Yep.
So I'll try not to tend to do that. I might have my moments every now and again, but everybody does. But I think generally just having how I portray myself within the wider business is important, and the messaging that I'm putting out there to convey to people that, hey, look, we're focusing on what we can control as a business. So we want to have a good culture. We want to be managing things in a certain way. we want to be allowing enough time for people to actually do the work they need to do, rather than, oh, have you not finished yet, and look at the system rather than the person, and try to ensure that we're sort of planning as well as we can, because at the end of the day, we want to be a high reliability organization. We want to be a safe pair of hands. So in order to do that, we've got to have people who are competent and trained and capable doing what they know how to do really well, without sort of lots of unhelpful outside influences coming in and impacting on their headspace, which can kind of interfere with how they need to perform their work and things like that. So I guess that's the kind of general focus, to make sure that we've got the planning right, and it all starts with planning, as you know, Andy.
Really? Hey, I know a guy. Help you do planning. When I started strategic planning, like, we were speaking earlier, it's really challenging when you start your own business. You got to learn all of these different things, and you have to learn really, really quickly, right? I was fucking struggling, to be honest. First year was really difficult, but then I said, work was good, work was coming in. I'd left my job at Fletcher's, really well-paying job, but then 2 months later, I didn't know if I could pay my mortgage. But it's fucking fear kicks in. So then I kind of contacted Stan. I contacted a few agencies, but Stan stood out because Stan was in his garage. I was in my garage. He was a startup. I was a startup. And he said, "Oh, we'll manage your LinkedIn, but you'll be the focus of your LinkedIn, and we'll manage your personal brand." I said, "No. You have the wrong idea. I want you to take care of my company and bring my company more work." No. He said, "You focus on you. You will bring the work in for the company." So it was a really interesting concept. It was like, I don't think anybody else was doing it at that point in time. Like, a lot of people are doing it now, but nobody was doing it at that point. Thanks to Stan, everybody's doing it now.
Nice.
But what happened, that just progressed, and I said, I want to influence real positive change in the industry. And I keep running into all of these different people. They all have the same problems. And he goes, why don't you just start a podcast and you start talking about it, so people will listen to all the key, and understand the problems that everybody are facing on site, and they're not alone, and they have a platform to voice their opinion, share their, and it could be a platform for digitalization, things that you're passionate about,
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just evolved, It's just evolved from that, and I enjoy doing it. Like, I love sitting down here in front of the camera. Like, it's the amount I learn from the other person is incredible. Like, I haven't seen you for a decade now here. And things I'm learning about you now is just like, I'm like, what can I learn from this guy about leadership? What can I absorb from him? But when you do it on camera, like you said, I've got to pay more attention.
And then you got to think of the next question.
And think of the next question. And do all of that.
You're doing it well.
So you're like, you're really focusing, you fucking hone in, I mean, even like Lee was telling me the other day, he's like, you know what you started doing? You started picking up like questions from other guests, and you bring it into your weaving all your episodes together. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. That's pretty cool.
And what are the common themes that you've sort of got out of all these discussions? Like, is there sort of underlying factors around, the challenges in the industry, I guess, and
who's best placed to manage risk is a huge issue. Our procurement system, the way our contracts are formed, people have a lot of opinions on that. Lack of digitalization. I mean, I kind of keep pushing that agenda all the time. I do, but I seriously think it is a problem. Like, it's at least my biggest problem. That's a few. Payment terms, that's another problem. Retentions, that's another problem. We haven't spoken a lot about retentions in the podcast, but but some common themes there. Then those are like your top 4 or 5, I'd say. Well, obviously digitalization top for me, but then you go contracts, then you go what else did I say? Fuck, I can't remember. Retentions, payment terms, and forms of contract. And our procurement model. Those are like,
so procurement meaning like how, like in what
how clients procure main contractors, and how main contractors procure subcontractors. Back to back terms. NZ 3910, is that the fairest contract? Fuck no.
Right.
What is a good form of contract? There probably never will be a good form of contract. But then what's best suited to New Zealand? Do you then adopt your NECs? Is that the best way to go? Or you go your FIDIC route?
It's interesting. Like you mentioned contracts, because obviously I've seen a few different ways, and I'm by no means an expert, but certainly NEC, the thing I was pushing for with the reform of 3910 was to include time bars for responses around, variation claims and things like that. And obviously there was a bit of, it wasn't that people weren't keen to do that for various reasons. But, I think that introduces, isn't it, that, which is the benefit of NEC contract. You've just got a time frame that you have to respond.
100%.
And it just incentivizes actually trying to sort things out as you go along, because we've all been in a position where you end up at the end of the project trying to sort out a heap of stuff that's, could have been dealt with earlier, and
yeah, NEC will put the onus on both parties,
Yeah.
whereas NZ391 kind of is pretty.
Oh, it's one-way traffic. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So
got
it's
time. Usually the time bars sit with the
main contractor.
contractor.
Oh, the client has to do nothing,
and
right?
Yeah. until
Oh,
the end.
but actually, hang on. Here's a fun fact about NZ391 you probably knew or didn't know. When you as a main contractor submit a program to the client,
Yeah.
all right, the client has no there's no clause in the contract, or what's the word I'm looking for? There's no provision in the contract
Yep.
for the client to actually approve your program.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I think that's I think so, because you submit it within 10 days normally.
20 days from signing the contract.
Okay. Yep.
That's when you submit a comprehensive program.
Yep.
Again, what's fucking comprehensive? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
define the term comprehensive. It could
There's
be different to different things.
There's no requirement for them to accept it, but at least it's your baseline.
Yeah.
Established then.
But then they don't have to accept it. You just
Yeah.
had to submit it.
Yeah.
So, has he accepted it? Has he approved it? Well,
doesn't matter.
you're just opening the floodgates up
Yeah.
for your dispute, aren't you?
Right.
Like, it's just little things like that, Like one party wants to use it to their advantage, and the other party goes, "Oh, fucking get him next time. Don't worry."
Yeah, right,
Like,
right.
Why are we playing these silly games?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why?
yeah.
Why bother playing
And
these silly
the
games?
one that's always an interesting one is who is the ownership of float and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I guess we try to sort of just include that as a contractor's float explicitly at the end.
So
make sure
I
it's quite clear. Yeah.
I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah.
Every time you get into one of those battles,
Yeah.
all right, get the other person to define what float means for you.
Yeah.
If they can clearly articulate what total float means,
Yeah.
then we'll have an argument about who owns it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because the minute you get into actually defining what float is and how float is calculated in a program, that argument is null and void.
Yeah.
Fucking let the lawyers do what they do.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, let them do what they do, mate. But it's like the float is owned by the project all the time.
Yeah.
Right? You consume it, Good for you.
Yeah.
Right? Are you impacting the critical path? If you impact the critical path, then we get into an EOT conversation. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we look at who's caused it,
Yeah.
the causation events, and
That's right.
the effects, and so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
yeah.
But mate, it's the most stupidest fucking argument
Yeah.
to have is
Yeah.
who owns the float.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
See, have that argument?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never understand
I
it.
don't want any argument. I just want everyone to agree that the contractor owns it.
Like, see, again.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Project
on.
owns it, man.
No worries.
You're just trying to wind me up, aren't you? You're like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's just wind Andy up a little bit now. No, it's fun. It's fun.
No problem.
It's fun. All right, so can I take over questioning now?
Of course, yeah. I'm finished for now. Yeah,
Are you done?
I thought I'd give you a little break.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Feel free to jump back in any time, by the way. Yeah, I'm open to being questioned. Unless you're like winding me up with this. All right. So pipeline and civil, right? I want to get back to pipeline and civil, right? So we did speak about how the industry is a little broken. I mean, not broken. Sorry. What are the words you used?
I don't know. Challenged. Let's put it that way.
Challenged. Okay. So do you have like specific examples where you think the construction industry is an amazing place for young engineers to be working in, and like, could you tell us something that inspired you or in your career, specific examples that would potentially inspire the younger generation?
Yeah, look, again, it's probably just going back to the concept of the kind of nation building projects, the opportunity to be involved in building great infrastructure, working with heavy machinery, building great assets for the community. I mean, I think the challenge we have is we don't like singing from the rooftops, do we? And we tend to hide our light under a bushel. Because we're a lot of engineers, particularly, I know, and I guess the industry as a whole, we're very community minded. We want to, generally people get into engineering because they see an opportunity to, especially civil engineering, to be doing things for the community, but not necessarily wanting to put themselves out there. So we won't kind of sell our wares. We won't necessarily be overly proud of what we say, I work in construction, this kind of thing. Rather than being openly proud about working in the industry and what we actually do, because as I say, there's not many sectors where you're working on these great projects and you're building things that are going to preserve and really support the community to thrive. So if you think about back in the Roman days, obviously sanitation was like game changer in terms of like the best thing that ever assisted with medical outcomes ever in human history. So if you look at that, that's an engineering thing that was done that actually had a massive impact. So we need to be just have a bit more pride in what we're doing, and actually really share that a bit more passionately around the place, and not kind of be. And I think that especially when you look at roadworks and the public works that are been going on with the issues with traffic control and people, the war on cones and everything.
The war on cones.
Yeah, it's sort of like created that kind of a little bit of a stigma, almost, that if you say that you work on public assets in the roads and stuff, people go, oh, you putting all those cones out, and it becomes like around the barbecue or whatever, a bit of a joke, or and I guess that's part of the rhetoric is actually. Instead of a cone being a symbol for disruption, it's actually a symbol for the fact
protection.
that we're investing in our infrastructure and we're spending money on our infrastructure to future-proof the country, and that's brilliant. And that's what we want to be, message that we need to be sending out, rather than like I'm ashamed to be working there because I'm obviously disrupting everyone. Actually, what disruption, it's just going to grow, isn't it? Like not in a negative way, but obviously there's with all these projects that we're looking at doing, with the investment in infrastructure, we're going to have disruption. There's going to be cones in the road.
Hey,
we're not going to eliminate.
You got to break a few eggs to make some omelets, right?
Yeah. And we've got to be proud around that. And I think it's just reframing some of those sorts of that sort of rhetoric that's going around.
So if you had to tell the audience that are waging war on cones, one key message to take away, what would you tell them?
Yeah, look, I think there are people out there who are doing a job, and your traffic team or your team out in the road. They're out in the rain, they're out in the sun, they're out getting the work done, earning a crust for their family. There are people who have got families, they've got kids, they've got aunties and uncles, brothers and sisters, and they need to be respected for the fantastic work that they're doing
100%
for our country, right? And they're doing a great job and they're working hard. So let's support them rather than trying to knock them down.
And those cones are there for their protection and for the public's protection.
Yeah, of course. And it's a bit of plastic. It's not going to help them a lot if a car drives through it. But at the end of the day, it's doing its job. But we just need to be mindful that they're actually real people with families and they're if anything have a look at the system that they're operating in. And obviously there's a lot of work going in around that in terms of risk-based approach or traffic control and trying to minimize areas where there was some kind of overkill, and I think that's fair to say in the past because of Coptum and how rigid it was, it ended up with some kind of perverse outcomes happening with a bit of overkill out in the roads and understand that and take that into account. But we're moving into a new era now where, it's hopefully going to be a lot more practical, risk-based, and we're going to see less of that. And let's just support our road workers.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you. So if you're one of those people that wage war on fucking cones, just stop.
Yeah.
Cool.
Watch out, we're coming for you.
Yeah, mate.
With our cones.
Yeah, fuck 'em. You and me. Yeah. Anyways, so that leads in really well into what I want to ask you next. What I want to get into next. Yeah. You said safety is a measure of success. Yeah. Where did that belief system come from? Why is that important to you?
Yeah, look, I think we both worked at Leighton's back in the day, Andy. You know, and it was beaten into us pretty solidly.
Well, yes, it was. It gets beaten into you. If you're in construction, it gets beaten into you, right?
But I think,
but you believe it.
Yeah,
it's part of your DNA. Yeah, it's like it's 100%. Ingrained.
Yeah. And I think it was quite through a series of great mentors that I've had and experiences that I've had. I think. It's for me, it's just a synonym for operational excellence or reliability. So as opposed to looking at safety as just a thing that's on its own, out in its own silo, it's actually just part of good work. So it's not anything that's just different. And you got a health and safety manager. If someone has an incident, you ring up the safety manager and they, like an ambulance, come along and sort out all the aftermath and you carry on doing the job. No, that's not, it's
becomes a lag indicator, doesn't it? Because most companies view it as a lag indicator. today.
They look at TRIFR and they look at this and that, and they, they think that's how you measure safety, but it's not, obviously, and we've established that. There's a lot of research that TRIFR is not a predictor of good safety outcomes, or you can still have catastrophic failures in safety even if your TRIFR is very very low. So we obviously that whole mindset needs to shift. But I just in terms of my own belief system, I think it's safety is sort of synonymous with like I say, operational excellence, reliable performance. So the frameworks that you implement for good safety actually produce great outcomes for the overall business.
Oh yeah.
So in terms of
and that's true for pipeline and civil.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So 100%. We've I think the journey that we've been on in the business is really strong evidence to support that perspective. The growth that we've experienced and I think we've experienced a lot of success. Obviously, look, every the odd time you have your challenging years,
of course and
you do. Yep. Things like that will happen. It's contracting at the end of the day, but I think overall we've experienced a lot of success as a result of the culture within the business, our values, and our values include safety. Plan first and do no harm. That's the sort of wording we put around it.
Yeah.
And you'd be, music to your ears. Planning again. Planning.
Wait, like I told you, I'm no great planner. You just need to say the word. You got my number.
That's it. So planning, we see that as being key. So not just around programming, but it's also planning for what work's going to take place. What are the obviously the risks associated. What are the controls? On-site planning, logistics planning, everything. Not just from a tick the box hazards controls, JSA type thing, but actually really getting into the meat, and the bones of how the work's going to be performed, the sequencing of it. Logistics around the site, thinking things through, mapping it out, drawing it up, so that we know, everything about that operation. We've sort of visualized in advance. The team have done that work. They've communicated with each other. It's not just the engineer in the office doing a meta statement and then just handing it to the supervisor a day, 5 minutes before they start. It's actually getting them involved in the field in terms of the planning, so that everyone's got a clear idea how it's going to be done. We've thought things through. We've got all the right gear on site. We've got the resources, and if we've done that planning, as the guys aren't then shooting back to the yard because they've forgotten the plate compactor, or they've forgotten this, they've forgotten that. They got everything on
plant labor material
on the site.
Check.
All ready to go. You get the job done. You're not just looking at safe outcomes. You're also looking at quality outcomes, because they know what checks need to be done. They know how many layers they need to put in. They know what testing they need to do. They've got it all planned out, documented. And then they, obviously from a time frame perspective, your program's probably going to work because you've actually thought about it, in terms of how many cubic meters or how many tons you have to compact and how many truckloads you have to have delivered. Your environmental is, you've got your silt control, you've got enough gear to make sure everything's going well in that space. So all these things all combine, because you've done the planning, you've got everything there that you need to do the job reliably. And so it's not just about safely, it's just about the overall reliability of the operation. And everyone being involved and being on the journey and that, and actually just ticking the box, and then everyone goes home safe. So I think that's kind of the philosophy around it, Andy. To be fair,
So how did you step change that and influence that change within 120 people within pipeline and civil? There's more curiosity here. Yeah. Like it's not an easy feat to achieve, right?
Oh, look, and it's not something that I'd say we've nailed, and I think, that's really clear, to say is that, look, we've done a lot of good work, there's no question about it, and we're in a good space in the journey, but there's always going to be more things that we can do to improve.
There's always be things you can fix.
And that's right. And, and the other thing is that's really important to note is that errors are normal, mistakes happen, and very much like along the lines of the HOP principles, I don't know if you've heard much about HOP or human organizational performance, but it's a great set
Hugh, I run a company of 7 people now.
Yeah.
We don't need all.
But it's great. You should do a bit of Googling around that.
Hopper.
Cool.
So what does it do exactly?
Yeah. Well, it's just to do with basically there's a few principles that are incorporated in HOP. One of them is error is normal. Blame fixes nothing.
Yes,
so
right.
look, it's all around the system. actually creating the outcome, and that's sort of, 99% of it is around the system really, and the person at the end of it is obviously important, and we've got to make sure, but the system's got to cater for that person being trained and competent and able to do that work. But at the end of the day, someone will make a mistake, they can do so, they can hopefully fail safely. So that, at the end of the day, they're going to go home with all their fingers and toes. I think that's the important thing. So, but I think that blame game doesn't solve anything. It's just about understanding how we're going to learn from negative events and how we kind of move forward from that.
So is that what HOP is all about?
In a nutshell, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's quite a big.
So if I was googling for it, what would I Google for? HOPE.
Yeah, HOP. Yeah.
HOP.
Yeah.
HOP.
Yeah.
HOP management system or
HOP principles.
HOP principles. HOP principles.
Chuck that in there and check it out. Yeah,
you heard it here first on Jans and Andy.
Wouldn't say it's first. It's been around for a few decades, but it's all pretty cool.
Stealing my thunder.
Yeah. But it's
I don't even know what it is, so I've got to go do my own googling now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, there's some good stuff. I mean, there is a lot of nuance to it, but I think a few kind of key things are like performance modes. Won't go into detail, but like you've got if you're doing something like driving, you've done it a million times before. You're almost doing it unconsciously. Yep. So your error rate's quite low, extremely low when you're doing something like that because you're in in skill-based mode. If you're in rule-based mode, you're following really good procedure. You know what the plan is. You've maybe done it before. There are clear rules and expectations around it. So you're more likely to make an error, but again, not that likely. And then if you're in knowledge-based mode, as the third performance mode, that's when the times are you're sort of standing around scratching your head, looking at something, going, "How am I going to do this?
Yeah,
how does this work?" And it's a bit of a trigger to go, "Okay, well, I need to go back and actually get the procedure out again, and maybe have another look, or I need to go and phone a friend and have a conversation about how we're going to achieve this." And I guess it's about understanding when we get into those different modes. It's a bit of a trigger to, just challenge yourselves a little bit on actually how we can avoid error. Because if you're in knowledge-based mode, you're very, very likely to make an error. And often it's not your fault. It's just the fact you haven't been given the right information.
Right.
The planning isn't quite there, or you haven't been trained on that certain aspect. And so it's just about trying to incorporate those sorts of things in your daily activities so that you end up with a good outcome rather than, most people will be a bit ashamed of asking somebody, "Oh, how do I do this? I don't really know what I'm doing here." Whereas actually if you put some different language around it, you can, encourage them to maybe go and have a conversation, and it ends up with a different outcome.
Interesting. As you're talking, I was just relating it back to my own team.
Right. Yeah.
Mate, this is what I mean here.
Yeah.
You see how much I'll learn, how much everybody learns. Like, it's incredible opportunities here. Yeah, mate. Now, thanks for that. That's interesting. I'll do some Googling.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think we've had enough shop talk.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Is there anything else that you want to cover? That we haven't covered?
No, I think it's good. I think like just on safety, we were just very touching on that, and the impact that safety can have, and I think the conversation around safety is a bit of a challenging one, like in the construction sector. And like you say, you've got a lot of old school attitudes. They view it as being, red tape. I think is one of the comments, and isn't it? It's not something that people feel necessarily passionate about. They there's been obviously a bit of look at the Health and Safety at Work Act and things like that recently. But look, for me, I'm a strong believer that it's a real lever, that you can, positive thing that you can actually implement in your business to bring out the best in your people, because it's all about communication, it's all about engagement, it's all about creating a psychologically safe environment for people to raise issues. And if they're doing that kind of thing in your business, then you're more likely they're going to raise issues around quality issues or program issues or other challenges they're going to have.
Just lays the base setting, lays the platform from which you launch off. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I kind of see it as a bit of a Trojan horse that you can use. So definitely can't encourage that enough. And
you must be the first guy that used the words Trojan horse and safety in the same sentence.
Yeah, possibly am. Here we go. Chalk it down.
Chalk it down. Anyways, mate.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was really cool. But let's get into Hugh, right? What makes Hugh tick? Okay. Oh, Jesus. There we go. Yeah, mate. Yeah. When we started this conversation, you said something about Tick-Witty, and we'll get back to it later. Oh, yeah. What was it? What was the story? I'm curious now.
It's sort of come full circle. So with my day job, obviously with Pipeline Civil, but I've embarked on a bit of a governance journey. So I got involved in the Institute of Directors, and I did my chartered director course and everything. Or I did the director's course, became chartered, and then I decided, embark on and see if I can become an independent director on another board of a company.
Right. Yeah, cool.
And actually, just around that same time, ironically, a position came up. The shareholder of Informax Construction in Tikawiti were looking for new directors at that time. So I put my application in through the IOD website and was interviewed, and was successful in getting that role. That was about 3 years ago, and now just recently been appointed chair of the board for Informax, which is pretty cool. So
really cool.
And that just happens to be Informax's head office is right beside the YDT Rugby Club where I used to play in Tikawiti. So it's great to be able to go back to the King Country. We've got lots of friends down there. It's a great community, and so I guess that's why it's sort of come full circle. So running around the field, as a 20-year-old or whatever, and then to still be involved with the community is awesome. Yeah.
Oh, really cool! Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
And another one TCV, director of Inflex. Yeah.
You
go. So you've been playing rugby for what, 20 odd years now?
Yeah.
Are you still playing? You still playing?
No, not. No, I played a bit of touch last night actually. Yeah.
Cool.
So we've got our family with my kids. I've got 4 kids, so I've got.
That's right. I actually forgot that about you. You got 4 kids. That's right. Yeah.
So the boys are 18 and 16, and then the girls are 13 and 10. So they we all play touch together, and with a few of their mates as well, and we played our first game last night.
Oh, cool.
I won't mention the score because it wasn't very good, but we're not doing it for glory.
Hey, mate, what's the HOP principle? There's no blame game.
Yeah.
Come on,
that's right.
You got to live by your principles, mate.
Yeah. We're definitely doing it for participation.
That's it.
And enjoyment, and it was a lot of fun. So we're in the Fano social grade, but so I play. But I mean that's just a bit of fun, yeah. But no, just try and keep fit. Don't play contact sport anymore. Obviously, you're getting a bit old for that, but. I'm still involved as a volunteer at the club, so
cool.
On the board and stuff like that, which is great, and it's good to be involved in a big community organisation like that as well. Yeah. So
you've taken any lessons from rugby being a really good team sport, taken any lessons from there back into the workspace?
Yeah, I think it's all that team thing, and showing commitment, and I think back to when I used to enjoy playing rugby on the field. If you want to lift the performance of the team, you got to lead from the front, and you've got to be in there, showing the same level of effort. What I mean? And then when you get the opportunity to take a bit of a breather, you got to do that as well, right? You can't just sustain it for the whole match, So I think it's about knowing when you need to put your shoulder to the wheel and support where needed, and then just keeping an eye on everyone else within the team to see when they're kind of flagging a little bit.
Yeah.
And going, hey mate, just have a breather. We often see that, obviously deadlines, difficult negotiations or issues that come up. It's important that we're recognizing that's happening within the team, and then providing support, where we can,
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to put people on the bench for a bit and say, just go and
have
a rest.
100%. Yeah. This is one thing that's always stuck to me. I think I was reading a book a while ago. It's called Legacy. It's about
Yeah.
Have you read that book? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't read a lot of books, but I read a few inspirational ones.
Yeah.
It said if you're an All Black, you're just a number on the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Your only purpose is to actually leave that number back in a better place than when you took it up.
Yeah.
So it's such an incredible team, eh? That's a really good book, by the way. If you,
I think I remember. Is that the one where they talked about cleaning, sweeping the sheds? And
where the players sweep the sheds, and it's their whole mentality, their mind frame, and how that leads back into business as well. And just your corporate world, and what you can learn from the All Blacks. And it's a really good book. Good book.
Yeah, nice. Well, I think that kind of what the All Blacks have shown quite a lot of is around that humility. And I'm very fortunate to have met a few All Blacks in over the years, and international players and that. And when you're always struck by how humble they are.
Oh
know,
yeah.
And everything like that. Like, and a great example of that is Kevin Mialamu, who I've been fortunate to have met a few times. And we're actually at the next CCNZ, bit of a plug in for CCNZ, civil contractors. The next quiz night is coming up in November, so we're going to have Kevy there as a Q&A guest speaker. So
yeah, cool.
But someone like he's just the kind of benchmark for humility and achievement. Kind of mixed in with all those roles that he does, and also how humble he is and everything like that. So
it's really important, isn't it?
Amazing, yeah.
Funny, I actually played poker with Mao Nunu.
Yeah, all right.
Took some money off him too.
Did you?
Oh, I took some money off him. Yeah, exactly. He was pretty pissed off that I took some money off him, but but hey, fair play. I had 2 pay. He had a single pay, so
okay.
I was like, I didn't even know his Mao Nunu, but anyways, leave that for another day, mate. Cool. Hey, Hugh, thank you so much for making the time for being here, mate. It's been really, really engaging, really cool. I've had so much fun in this interview, and I'm glad, there's an opportunity to meet again, which is really cool.
Yeah. Thanks so much for inviting me on, Andy, and
anytime, mate.
Great to see you again, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.